Soundstripe. Soundstripe.
Hey, what's going on? Hey, what's going on, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of the Kulture Podcast. Today is International Men's Day. I did not know that until a few minutes ago, but it is International Men's Day, which ties into what we're talking about today, which is men's mental health. It's Men's Health Month. Men's Health Month, Men's Health Month. And a lot of people are assuming that it's actually Men's Mental Health Month, which is either June or July. So two separate months, but we're going to talk about it anyway, because I have been seeing a lot of things about men's mental health. So why not talk about it? So before I get started in reading these statistics and getting into all that, I just kind of wanted to say my own piece on it, and I'll say some other things a little bit later. But first and foremost, men's mental health is not taken seriously enough. It's laughed at in some cases, and that's bullshit. I think it started it starts early. It really does. At a young age, boys are taught to, be tough. You brush it off. You can't cry. You have to protect. The list goes on and on. And not that there's anything, wrong with not crying or protecting, but it puts a thought in a boy's head, early, that you have to be a certain way. You have to fit a certain mold, and obviously not everybody's gonna fit that mold. Not everybody's gonna be Billy Badass, head honcho, macho man. Not everybody's gonna be that. Not everybody's personality is that. Not everybody has the characteristics to be that type of person. So I think that first and foremost, that's what we need to fix, is to stop trying to put that macho mentality into boys. Excuse me. And then also, I guess not that there's wrong with women having standards. That's not the issue. It's an issue when you don't fit that mold, that you get bashed. That's what's wrong from the women's side. There's some women that bash men that aren't, and macho's not even the word. There's some women that bash men that aren't protectors or aren't, alpha males. There's nothing wrong with not being an alpha male. Not everybody's personality is like that. And I guess my thing is, I'll say it again. I've said it before, but you worry about you and yours and what you like, and let these people over here do what they want to do. That's kind of the solution to that. Is if you don't like, and I hate really calling somebody like a beta, but if you don't like somebody that's not an alpha male, then don't worry about them. That's not your damn problem, is it? Yeah, that's really, I guess that's all I gotta say about that. Worry about you. But yeah, I think we need to work on it, and I think it's going in the right direction. I think that men's mental health is getting more and more attention over the years. Because like when I read you some of these statistics, I mean it's mind blowing really, on how like the scale that it's at. But I think we're going in the right direction, because whether you feel completely like mentally stable or mentally aware of yourself, I mean, shit happens. Shit happens, and just like that, you could be not okay mentally. So it's okay to talk to people about it. Talk to one of your boys. Talk to a girl. If you got a girl best friend, talk to your girl. I mean, there's plenty of people to talk to. And I mean, one thing that, that's completely, it's looked down upon. It's looked down upon for many reasons. I mean, just off the top of my head, from I guess really a stereotype, really. Basically, everybody except for white people, every other culture except for white people, looks down on going to therapy. Ain't shit wrong with therapy. You can be black and go to therapy. You can be Hispanic and go to therapy. You can be Asian and go to therapy. It doesn't matter. Fuck all that, your family talking shit about, oh, you going to therapy, oh, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, miss me with all that. If you don't have anybody else to talk to, it's okay to go to therapy. It's okay to cry. It's okay to be vulnerable. And yeah, shit. I mean, and it's okay if you're not okay. That is okay. It's okay if you're not okay. But are you taking steps in the right direction to be okay? That's the key. So the first one that I want to read to you, first statistic I want to read to you, and this is a huge one. In the United States, 75% of suicides are from men. I'm gonna read that again for you. In the United States, 75% of the suicides are from men. Now, what does that tell you? To me, that tells me that there's too much pressure on men. And regardless of how you see that pressure, it's not how you see it. It's how these men see it. And I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about these lives that have been lost because of pressure that really should have never been put on them in the first place. Or in some cases, shit, maybe it should have, but it could have been gone. It could have went a different way. They could have been supported better emotionally. There's a multitude of things that can help with suicides. 75% is ridiculous. Okay, so then the next one we got is 30.6% of men in the United States have suffered from a period of depression in their lifetime. Now, I mean, I don't know the number. Excuse me, I don't know the number, in total, because I wasn't, looking at those numbers. But I do know that, I mean, a lot of people deal with it. I'm pretty sure probably everybody deals with it at some point. At some point, most people in their lives are misunderstood and feel unheard at some point. Now, whether it's depression or not, You may not, you may think, oh, it's just a bad day. I'm just feeling a little sad. Because, I used to, I actually used to think I'd never had depression. Now I don't feel like I've had it in a very long time, but that is something that I dealt with, and at the time I didn't know it was depression. But that's actually something I'm going to talk about a little bit later, or after I read the rest of these off. So this was an interesting one to me. Is the suicide rate for men is 4 times higher compared to women, but women are more likely to attempt suicide, whereas men are more likely to succeed from suicide. So without doing, I did a little bit of reading on it, but essentially what that's telling me is, and I don't want to be insensitive, so it's insensitive, but what I kind of take from that is it's kind of like women are more likely to, that's their cry for help, is to attempt it and get saved. And if that makes sense. From reading that, if they're more likely to attempt suicide, but their percentages are higher, then obviously they're getting saved or helped or whatever. And whereas men are more likely to succeed, which means when they decide to do it, that's what they decide to do. There's no oh well, maybe I'll do it. Maybe I'll do it this way. Maybe I'll do it that way. That's it. And then we got men are nearly 3 times more likely than women to become alcohol dependent, which is, so they said nearly. So it's 8.7% of men are alcohol dependent compared to 3.3% of women. Which, I guess I'm too young to notice alcohol dependency, because hell, everybody I know drinks for the most part, and I'm not out and around a lot of people to know who all's alcohol dependent. But that sounds right, and I guess I just kind of just popped into my head, that just thinking about just the correlation of homeless people. Men are more likely to be homeless than women, and then obviously a lot of them drink. Now, I'm sure there has to be some correlation between that statistic and homeless, the population of the homeless, and the men and women, because obviously a lot of homeless people drink, so I guess kind of a secondary thought is how much of drinking leads to homelessness, which obviously that is very low on the list of problems for how many homeless people are just in America. But that just popped into my head for correlation. All right, so that's all the statistics I have. That's the 4 that popped out to me. So now really I guess it's time for story time. So talking about depression. I know a few people that battle with depression now. I know they're battling it currently, and it's an ongoing battle. And then I know people that have battled it and I don't know if it'll ever fully go away, but maybe just not present in the moment. And I'm not one to know shit about mental health because I haven't studied it. I just know what friends and associates have dealt with, and I know I know what I've dealt with. So that's just kind of that's just my take on it, I guess. But yeah, so anyway, story time. There's this girl that I was talking to, and as I was talking to her, I realized that I battled depression at a point where like I didn't know what it was, and like it was just us just talking, and I'm sitting there, and it just like kind of clicked that I battled with depression when I didn't know what it was. And I don't even really think I thought something was wrong with me. I just knew I was sad sometimes. And so what it was I transferred schools going into 8th grade. And I went from the city to the country, and being a city boy going to the country, that shit was hard. When I got there, no one knew what the hell I was saying, for the most part. So I kind of had to adapt to talking differently, and I ended up like starting to dress differently too, and all that good stuff. And I immediately fit in, with the popular kids, whatever. So it wasn't hard making friends. It was just new and different, and honestly, that was the first time like I ever really had like a group of friends, like a group of friends that I like hung out with outside of school. And so it was new to me, and so something weird for me was we're hanging out 5 to 10 deep every time we're hanging out, and something that I now can see it was depression, is throughout the night. And this was anytime we hung out, and we're hanging out, if not every weekend, every other weekend. And I would just have like a depressive episode, and I would just wander off somewhere weird. And it didn't have to be weird, I guess, but just I would just wander off somewhere. I remember one time, Michaela, my chiropractor and friend, and the one who was on here, her house was a frequent hangout spot. I remember one time going to I went and hid in one of her brother's closets. I mean, it was a big closet, so I wasn't like jammed up in there, but I remember going to hide one of the closets for like 30-45 minutes, and like I didn't come out until they like found me. And I remember another time, she had a big ass backyard, and you couldn't see shit like when it was dark. So I went and just like laid or sat or whatever in the middle of the yard or on the swing set or some shit, just to till they started looking for me. Like I said, I didn't know what that was then. Just thought I was tired of being around people. And yeah, so that was the first time I really dealt with depression that I can remember. But I didn't, I wasn't aware enough to be able to process that was depression. And I don't think I'd really heard of depression at that point in my life. So yeah, you know, it was a weird thing for me. And then, you know, fast forward to my junior year. I was in Green Valley, gotten used to all those people, had a bunch of friends. You know, I'm an extrovert. I'm nice to everybody. And so I had a bunch of friends at Green Valley, and on top of me transferring schools, the semester like before I transferred, I found out my grandma had breast cancer. So, you know, I was scared she was gonna die. I was transferring, which the transferring wasn't really a big deal. I wanted to transfer. So that was like a heavy thing weighing on me. So I would have like depressive episodes during school where I just didn't want to talk to anybody. And you know, like one thing for me, if I'm not talking, then there's something wrong. Cause I talk all the damn time. And then, so like I'm not like a super emotional person. I can be at times, but I'm not a super emotional person. Now I'm very open about my feelings and vulnerable and all that stuff. But I'm just, you know, not a super emotional person, not a big crier. And that's not, you know, me trying to be tough. It's just kind of, it is what it is. But like in that time, my high school football coach, which I did not like at all, disliked very much. I ended up like crying in his arms. Cause I was just, you know, I was just in a bad place. Anyways, so you know, I transfer, so I remember my last day. This is kind of helped shape my personality a little bit, even though I'm still like extremely extroverted. I remember my last day at Green Valley, and you know, a lot of people were saying goodbye to me. Oh, we're gonna miss you. I'll miss you. Oh, we gotta hang out. Blah 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 blah. And I mean, I want to say, you know how high schools are, but the world's still the same way. There's a bunch of fake ass people. And you know, after I left, 95% of those people didn't fuck with me anymore, and I'm cool with that. Like I said, help mold me into the person that I am, but I wasn't ready for that. You know, nobody tells you that that's just gonna be that hard. And so then I, you know, get to my new school, which like the school I transferred to was actually the school I would have gone to if I didn't move to Green Valley in the first place. So like I knew a bunch of people at my new school. I knew a few people that like I went to elementary school with, and then, you know, some went to middle school with. So, you know, it wasn't a hard transition to make friends, because I had, you know, friends that I had already known there. But it was a hard transition for me because I essentially, like, I wasn't like really trying to hang out with the Van Horn people because I was still trying to kick it with the Green Valley people. And, you know, like, all my best friends play sports, so we didn't see each other often. And then, you know, like I said, other people just didn't fuck with me anymore. So it was a hard transition to where, like, I was putting off these people and I was getting put off by these people. So I was in a really lonely place. And then my girlfriend at the time, you know, to take a high school girlfriend for what it is, like, we were going through it. So I was just like fucking out of it. And not like physically, but I was like mentally, I was just like, bro, I'm sick of this shit. Like I said, I just felt so lonely. And I couldn't tell you when it was. It was sometime during the winter. It was cold outside. And I think me and my girlfriend, whatever, at the time, we had gotten into a fight. And so we got into a fight. I was already going through all that shit. And then me and my mom got into a fight. That same night that me and my girlfriend got into a fight. And I was like, bro, miss me with all this. So, like, me and my mom got to fight. She went to her room, I went to my room, and I dipped. And, like, when I say it's cold, I'm talking about, like, it was in the 30s. Had to be. It wasn't, like, chilly. Like, excuse me, I ain't gonna say that. But I was cold as shit. And I don't know if I like, it wasn't like I planned to do some, like, I was planning, like, I just left. I either had, like I said, in the 30s, I either had like a short sleeve shirt on or like just a long sleeve shirt. And I might have had some shorts on, I might have had the pants on. Don't remember, the details like that. But I literally walked, it was 3 or 4 miles, I want to say. Like, I walked, I don't know, I walked hella far. I was gone for like, no, it had to have been longer than that. I was gone for like 2 hours, maybe 3. Like I said, in the cold, in 30-degree weather, like, I'm cold as shit, just walking. I'm like fuming mad, so that's kind of like keeping off the cold for me. And I come to a bridge. Now, it's not very tall. Like, maybe 15, 20 feet down max. And like, I'm just sitting there thinking all shit I'm going through. And shit, I'm like, maybe I should jump off this bitch. No, dead ass. And I'm not making fun of anybody. Like, I dead ass was like, maybe I should jump off this bitch. In my suffering, cause this shit is for the birds. And I just remember thinking to myself, I was standing on this bridge for 2 minutes and like contemplating if I should do it or not. And really, so I guess kind of like what my thought process was, because it was on a creek. It wasn't like, like a flowing water. I mean, it was flowing water, but not like enough to carry me away or some shit like that. But what my thought process was, shit, I may not die from the jump, but I'm gonna die from the cold. Sorry to get all dark on y'all, but it is what it is, and I'm just kind of telling my story. But so I thought about jumping off that bitch, and I remember like my inner voice, because I have my inner voice. I don't really hear anybody else's voice but mine. But I just remember hearing myself say, "You're gonna do too many things in this world for you to give up now." So, shit, walked off the bridge, took my ass home, and my mom was obviously, she was scared, and if I remember correctly, my girlfriend's mom was there, but she called her, and then she left when I got there. She found out I was okay, I think, or maybe she left like right before that. And yeah, so me and my mom talked. I cried, she cried, and yeah, that's my story about my suicidal thought that I had one time. And yeah, I'm glad I'm in a good spot now. Sorry for any tangents and the dark talk, but I feel like most people go through that at least once. But yeah, so that's it for that. And so now on to a little bit. Well, actually, saying all that, let me tie this up. Saying all that obviously goes back into what we're talking about today, which is men's mental health. And men's suicide being at a higher rate, men's depression being at a higher rate. Excuse me. I don't know if men's depression is at a higher rate, but it is too goddamn high. So I am gonna play a video that it ties in a little bit. It's a little bit more on the relationship side, but it still does tie in. So I'm gonna play this one, and this isn't my TikTok of the week. I liked how this tied in. So we're gonna go ahead and play this real quick.
Ladies, I don't think you understand how little validation men get. Like, women will get compliments just for being a woman. You'll get validation for being a certain gender. That's an amazing thing. That's a crazy thing. Like, men will get hated on just for being men. Understand that men will get their first flowers typically at their funeral. They get very few compliments over the course of the year, genuine compliments. And they get almost no validation in their relationships. It's usually about their women, their female. Women are flooded with attention, compliments, positivity, from a young age. And that's an amazing, beautiful thing. But you guys got to understand, like, men don't really get that. And that's why when you compliment a guy, it lights him up. Men really go through a lot of stuff. Men are expected to provide, support, take care of themselves with no reassurance from the world whatsoever. It's very difficult sometimes for men.
Yeah, I like that. Like I said, tied into men's mental health, and I think he hit everything spot on. And like I said earlier, and just want to say it again, the focus on men's mental health is not trying to take away from anybody else. It's just there. It's something we need to talk about. He said men have a heart. Everybody has a heart at some point, some juncture in their life. But yeah, it's just something that needs to be taken seriously. Men's feelings and emotions, and their thoughts. All that shit needs to be taken into consideration. So now that we got that video out of the way, we're gonna wrap up the talking point segment, and we are going to get into the top 10 for this week. This week has some really good music. I had to leave a few out because there were actually some pretty good ones. So without further ado, we're gonna start with Outlaws by Rick Ross featuring Jasmine, Sullivan, and 21 Savage. By far favorite song of the week. I love Jasmine Sullivan. Then Ross always gonna do what he do. And 21 Savage, I'm not like a huge 21 Savage fan. Well, I guess honestly I'm really not a 21 Savage fan. But the song was ay Dios mío. So another technical difficulty. I don't know why it keeps on turning off. But yeah, so Outlaws, best song of the week. We got Doing This by Luke Combs. Great song, talking about he would still be singing and performing just on a smaller scale if he wasn't, big time superstar. And then we got Be Alive by Beyonce. That was a song for the King Richard, I want to say that's what the name of the movie is, with Will Smith being the Williams sisters' dad. Good song. The rest of these people, besides one, I have never heard of them before, but I just really like the song, so I don't have a lot to go off of. Let You by Ian Dior. We got I Deserve by Smino. I like a handful of his songs. I haven't listened to him in depth, but I do like a handful of his songs. Yeah, Play Your Part by KD versus Goliath. It's all one word, but KD versus Goliath. Then I got You Up, question mark, by Jonah Lennox and Ant Clemens. We got Doctor My Eyes by Kamari. Then I got On Call by, I'm assuming that's pronounced Nija, Nija. And yeah, Bloodline by Gabriels. It was an interesting song because it's very like old timey. It's very old timey, so it was different, but I like it. So now we got that out the way. Those are top 10 new Music Friday from last week. So now we're gonna get to the NFL picks. I was 3-2 last week. The Rams got smacked, and I had them minus, I want to say 3.5, and then the other game I lost. Who was the other game I lost? The Washington football team beat the Bucks, and I had them covering by 10. So, without further ado, we got the Lions versus the Browns, and I got the Browns plus 12. 12 is a decent little margin for a Lions team that's, they're playing good, they're just not winning. They're playing good for the most part, besides when they got smacked the other week by the Eagles. So yeah, I got the Lions plus 12. Then I got the Packers versus the Vikings. I have the Packers -1. The Packers own the division, and even though the Vikings are playing decent, they're in most of their games are one-score games. I see the Packers pulling that out. You got the Dolphins versus the Jets. I have the Dolphins at -3.5, simply because Joe Flacco is starting at quarterback for the Jets, and Joe Flacco hasn't been good in a while. So, yeah. Then they say not to pick your own bet on your own team. But technically, I'm not betting, but I have the Chargers -5.5 against the Steelers on Sunday Night Football. It's gonna be an ugly ass game because the Steelers have like hella people questionable, and a few people already ruled out. But it's -5.5. I don't know if I already said that. So the Chargers do have a few D linemen on COVID protocols, so we're yet to see if they still play. But yeah. If Ben Roethlisberger is questionable, so if Ben Roethlisberger's out and Mason Rudolph starting, then I have all the faith in the world. Then the last one is the Ravens versus the Bears. Just saw an hour or two ago, Khalil Mack is out for the rest of the year. And I don't trust the Bears anyway, so Ravens -4. So for my TikTok of the week, this is not safe for work TikTok. Some cussing. Few little N-words in there in case you're not comfortable. And yeah, so we're gonna play that and then we're gonna wrap it up.
The crowd was like, kiss, kiss, kiss. And I'm not gonna lie, like it hyped me up. Like I ain't handle it well. Like I was like, you hear him? Y'all gotta kiss. And then they did. Yeah. And then for the rest of the show, the dude was just looking at me like, say fuck, say fuck, say fuck.
A few moments later.
Couple right here? No. First date? Second date? Not a date? Friend zone. It's alright, bro. Shut up. I don't know if y'all can hear her, but she just tried to downplay what I just said. She was like, no, he's not in the friend zone, but we're friends. That's the friend zone. He's hurt, bro. You guys splitting this? Who's paying?
We're making up for the Uber.
So you pay for the Uber.
I pay for the Uber.
You pay for the Uber. And you're paying for dinner. And you're paying for this. Are y'all fucking? What is? Y'all never fucked before? And you were here when I asked if anybody was gay, right? This is still me trying to remember my new joke. If my memory was working, I wouldn't even be torturing you guys right now. I remembered it, nigga. Pressure's still on, though. How long have you been in the zone? Since high school. 10 years. Ooh. Yo, you hear the niggas in the back? Yo, that's mad funny, yo. That made me laugh. That's funny, bro. That's fucking hilarious. You just hear one dude in the back like, oh, shit. Are you still trying to fight your way out, or are you just like, I'm comfy in here, it's nice, you got a couch set up in the friend zone, you chilling?
I work in the city.
Okay.
I see some good comedy.
Yeah. Would you, okay. Okay, I'm just throwing this out there, right? He's a good looking dude. Ladies, clap if you think he's a good looking guy. Oh, she clapped!
Yeah, man. So just something to lighten the mood, you know. I thought that shit was hella funny. You know, you can tell he from the East Coast, you know, somewhere up by New York, Philly, something like that. Just by the way he's talking. But yeah, just something, you know, something to lighten the mood. Everybody laughs at a good friend zone joke. But yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and wrap this up for today. So this comes out today. Tomorrow, I got a nice Buns review. I've already done it. Just got to edit it. Last week, had some technical difficulties with my gimbal. Well, not really technical difficulties. That shit was not charged. I thought it charged. It wasn't charged, so couldn't film it. You know, did a little swivel thing. But yeah, got that filmed. So that's out tomorrow. This is out today. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching. And let's start giving a shit about men's mental health. Okay? You hear me? All right. Thank you. See y'all later.